今日はですね、我々の米国オフィスの方からですね、サイバーセキュリティチームのメンバーをお招きしまして、いろいろですね、この US におけるですね、サイバーセキュリティインシデントのですね、状況であるとか、あるいは政府対応であるとか、我々としてどのようなサポートをさせていただけるか、そういったことをですね、ちょっと幅広にお話しさせていただければなというふうに思っています。それでは早速ですね、あと、このセッションについてはですね、言語としては英語で行わせていただくことになります。よろしくお願いいたします。では、早速ですけれども、皆様の方からですね、US サイバーセキュリティチームの方からですね、皆様の方にですね、自己紹介等をさせていただきたいと思います。So, let's start with a brief introduction of ourselves. So, could you briefly introduce yourself? So, first, Cyrus, please.
Good morning. My name is Cyrus Vance. I am a partner at Baker McKenzie in New York City. I work in the government enforcement and litigation space, and I chair the global cybersecurity practice for Baker McKenzie. And before coming to Baker McKenzie, I served 3 terms as the elected chief prosecutor for New York City, the district attorney focusing on crime generally, but very much so on risks from cybercrime through both the city, our population, visitors, as well as our critical infrastructure.
My name is Stephen Reynolds. I'm a partner in Baker McKenzie's Chicago office. My background is in information technology. I was a software developer before I became an attorney. I help clients when they're going through cybersecurity attacks and incidents, then help with regulatory and government investigations or litigation that follow a data security incident.
And I'm Nick Merker. I'm also a partner in our Chicago office, part of the global cybersecurity team as well. And similar to Stephen, before becoming an attorney, I spent about a decade in various systems, network, and security engineering roles, the last of which was the primary information protection lead at a .com. I started as a computer scientist and then became an attorney. And similar to Stephen, I help out with security incident matters and also pre-incident kind of preparation for the inevitable.
Thank you for all the introductions. And so maybe our talking will start with recent cybersecurity trends in the US. So who will be the first to speak about the cybersecurity trends?
Nick, why don't you, Stephen?
Stephen, go ahead.
Sure. So ransomware is a very major trend. We're seeing a lot of ransomware attacks on companies. What ransomware essentially is where attackers get into a company's system, they encrypt the files, and then they extort the company. They will say, if you don't pay us X amount of money, we will not unlock your files. And if you pay the money, then they send you the key or the keys to unlock your files. That's been a major source of the cybersecurity attacks we're seeing. We're seeing, though, an evolution of that ransomware. So it's going beyond just encrypting files. The attackers are also doing things like exfiltrating the files or copying the files over. So they will get onto your computer system, copy your files, and then encrypt them. So that way, even if you say, hey, we were able to restore our files from backups, they will threaten to release your files that may be sensitive or personal information about individuals. So now, even if you're able to restore your files from backups, there's still that threat of the files being actually copied over and then released publicly.
And jumping on that, so the threat actors are now focusing on trying to get money out of a business. So if you go back maybe 10 years ago, the threat actors would try to get just information, like your personal identifiable information, and then sell that to those who would be willing to buy it. Now they're cutting that process out, just going straight for money. So Stephen talked about ransomware. Another type of attack where they're going straight after money is called business email compromise. So many of our business processes involve just simple emails between each other. I may email you an invoice if I'm a service provider of yours, or if you're an accounts payable and I'm someone working at the company, I may send you an invoice via email and say, hey, please pay this for me. And threat actors know that that's how we operate. And so they are getting in the middle of that. They will either compromise the email environment of a client, or they will just set up fake domains that make it look like they are affiliated with a client or a service provider, and they will just engage in that business process, send you fake invoices, fake directions to send money off, and try to trick the client into sending that money to the threat actor directly. And so we've seen a major uptick in that in just the last 5 years. I was just researching this morning, actually talking about how the FBI said this is a some $40 billion type of attack.
To add on to what my colleagues have said, I think corporations looking at what is happening in cyber risk need to understand that there are a number of attack vectors, some of which have been alluded to, ransomware, business email compromise, but other attacks, DDoS, and other attacks that were once old are now new again. So there is a whole range of mechanisms by which threat actors attack a corporation and extract data or otherwise injure the economic welfare or reputation of a corporation. And so I think the trend in dealing with this multi-factor threat is to make sure that your organization is prepared in advance and early to address these issues if they in fact become an actual cyber attack on the institution. An investment in preparation, understanding where your data is stored, how it is secured, what are the risks that you need to be prepared for in whatever industry you're in. The investment in understanding and preparing your defenses early is far less than it is if you aren't prepared and are attacked subsequently. Not only does it increase the risk that the attack will be successful, but it puts your company at greater exposure to financial loss as well as reputational loss. I think another trend that we're seeing is the confluence of state-sponsored actors initiating cyber attacks, along with partners who just criminal enterprises. State sponsors have the advantage of enormous resources. They can take the time to mount more complicated attacks against large corporations, spending time inside the network trying to understand its architecture, and therefore be more prepared to take over data and the operations of the corporation once it has been initiated. So I think corporations need to understand that they are dealing with very sophisticated actors, not simply criminals, but from time to time, state actors. And that is perhaps most prevalent around attacks of critical infrastructure in companies globally. And critical infrastructure corporations, I think, need to be prepared to work in collaboration with the government to make sure that their assets are protected, which are very much related to the safety and welfare of the residents in the community in which they operate. And finally, I think we're seeing a trend to expand attacks outside of North America and Europe, where the predominant number of attacks have occurred over the last 5 to 7 years, to other markets, Asia, Latin America, South America. And that doesn't mean the attacks in Northern Europe or in America are going to stop, but I think actors are understanding that major corporations are better protected today, and they're moving their target sites to perhaps mid-level corporations, which still are well-resourced, but don't have the same level of awareness and preparation. Similarly, in other parts of the globe, there has not been the concern that we've had for some years in the United States and Europe about the risk from cyber attacks and our corporate resiliency to respond to them.